Jay here, Stretford Paddock. This is Academy Review. Joining me as always is Finn, otherwise known as Academy Scoop on your socials. Finn, how are we doing?
Yep, very good. Excited to get into this one. Lots to talk about, so it should be good.
Is it going to be the usual suspects? There's a lot of players we talk about a lot for a good reason because they're amazingly talented. Are we going to get some of the names that we've spoken about before?
We are.
Yeah.
I feel like we might be boring the audience a little bit because it's the same names almost every time. A few others to talk about always.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one, Shea Lacey, is going to be talked about.
Can you imagine if we were doing this in like 1992 and we were going, we're going to be boring them with the same names of Paul Scholes and David Beckham.
Not him again.
No, Nicky Butt again. So yeah, no one's going to mind it. We're talking about these players. It's because they're awesome. Let's get into it. Where do you want to start?
I thought we'd start with a few international topics actually.
Okay.
Just before we get into United's games. First thing I'd talk about just quickly is Cristian Orozco.
Yeah.
One of these new emerging talent signings that we've made in recent weeks. Colombian under-17 international, plays defensive midfielder, seems to be really highly rated. He's currently playing for Colombia's under-17s in the World Cup. Obviously quite a big deal. They had their first group stage game against Germany this week and he played 90 minutes, captained the side. It was a really, really impressive performance in a 1-1 draw, which, considering the difference in levels that you'd expect from Colombia and Germany, really, really impressive. Like we've seen a lot from him, he was playing as kind of a lone pivot, which is very impressive and speaks to his ability to cover ground really well and shield the back four. Also so much quality on the ball, picking the ball off the defence, spraying it wide, distributing from deep areas and also bringing it forward through carrying it. So yeah, really, really impressive performance. Obviously the fact that he's captaining the side says a lot about his character. So I'd say it's quite vindicating from the perspective of the people responsible for bringing him to the club. Obviously, we know that the scouts usually get it right, and it's usually the club who kind of veto these moves. But in recent months and in the last couple of years, we've seen United actually get these signings across the line, and he's another in that long list that includes the likes of Aiden Heaven, Diego Leon, Sekou Kone, Chido Obi, that kind of bracket of player in that age group. So yeah, really impressive and really encouraging to see him playing well. I'd also mention JJ Gabriel because
why not?
It wouldn't be an episode of Academy Review without talking about him. Not for United, but for England's under-16s that he was with in the last week. He had games against Wales where he came off the bench, and then Turkey and Portugal where he started. Really, really impressive in all three of these games. Obviously one of the youngest players in his group still. And yeah, usually playing on the left. We've seen him play through the middle a lot this season for United, but his preferred position is as a left winger. And just looked fantastic. We know what he's capable of. There was a clip that did the rounds on social media of him also almost scoring an amazing solo goal, just twisting and turning defenders inside out in the box. Unfortunately, his shot hit the post, but it would have been a really just outrageous goal. So yeah, good to see him contributing. And he's already a known quantity within that England setup, but these performances only go towards that and will help his progress massively. And then the third topic, just quickly, I'd talk about is and probably a new name to the channel, Darlington Osachukwu. I hope I've got the pronunciation right of that. He's just been called up for Spain's under-17s. He's a 15-year-old goalkeeper playing mainly for United's under-16s this season, but he has been on the bench once for United's under-18s. There's currently a bit of an international feud between England and Spain to get him to represent them. Yeah. So really early days, but I thought I'd mention his name just because it might be one to keep an eye on. Clearly very highly rated to be that young and getting called up to Spain's under-17s. Obviously England too. These are two international heavyweights. So very positive signs, but yeah, one to keep an eye on there.
No, definitely. I mean, look, like you said there's a new name there. We'll keep an eye on, and I'm sure you'll give us an update on any progress he's made. And it's always interesting in it with goalkeepers because it's a weird one, because you always think it's going to be a long time before we're likely to see them in the first team. But we don't know how his career can pan out and whether he ends up one day making appearances for United's first team. So we'll keep an eye on him. In terms of JJ Gabriel, it's always bittersweet with JJ Gabriel because I'm always, not bittersweet, but I'm always worried when you talk about him and how good he is and how many he is. I get a little bit of a knot in my stomach. I think I spoke about this last time. Yeah. I'm still nervous that we're going to be able to keep
He's so good that you have to worry whether United are going to be able to keep him.
Yeah, if he'd signed, I know he's too young, but if he'd signed a deal and we knew we had him for a bit, I could relax and enjoy it. But I'm part of me thinking, no, he might end up going to Barcelona.
The positive thing is he's definitely staying for the next 2 years.
Right.
And I think if United can get their shit together...
That's it. 2 years... Just rename Old Trafford the JJ Gabriel Stadium.
Yeah.
Knock down them statues and build another one of him.
Yeah. Or
everything
just replace
will be
them
all
all with
replace them, melt them, melt them, melt them all together to make a statue of JJ
one
Gabriel.
Big statue, yeah.
Everyone's happy. He stays and wins a lot for us. But it's good to see the new sign as well. You mentioned there. Is it the lad Orozco?
Orozco, yeah.
This sort of, we've spoken about it many times on this channel, on this podcast, me and you, about Manchester United trying to tap into different markets, trying to bring through young players. It's nothing new, but it does feel like there's been a bit more focus from Ineos on this.
There's a really clear kind of plan there.
And I like it, and I like the calibre of players that we're bringing in, because every time you speak about them, whether that's for their club or for the country, they seem to be doing very well indeed. Yeah. Long may that continue. What else do you want to talk about next?
Yeah, I think we'll go in kind of reverse chronological order in terms of the games, because there's always a balance to be had, but we want to be talking about the good things. And the best result came midweek Tuesday evening against Notts County in the EFL Trophy.
Yep.
United coming off the back of 2 losses in this competition, unfortunately, to Lincoln and Barnsley. So I think they were quite eager to turn that around, and definitely a more positive result we'll talk about here. Like we mentioned earlier, kind of the usual suspects. Can't help but start with Shea Lacey. He, at the moment, is playing like a man on a mission.
I love that. On a mission.
Yes.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. I think there's a growing consensus within the club at the moment that he's probably the next one up from the academy. He seems to really be pushing now, and everything's kind of coming together for him at the right time to be making a debut in the coming weeks and months. He was unplayable against Notts County, who, it's worth mentioning, a League Two opposition. It's a really respectable level that they're playing against, albeit at probably a lower intensity and speed that they're used to playing at, but still, you can only beat what's in front of you. And yeah, Lacey, every touch oozed class. He was playing with a really, really good intensity and pace to his game. Some of the one-touch interplay just screamed kind of quality and maturity and understanding of the game. Was a creative outlet, but also a goal threat. Ended up opening the scoring for United quite early on in the game. Chido Obi with the assist. He kind of brushed off a defender and then poked it through to Lacey on the counter-attack. And as it was bouncing down, Lacey followed the ball's trajectory, whacked it with his right foot near post. I think most players would have gone across goal, but it was a really, really lovely finish. I wanted to ask, by the way, I had a debate yesterday with someone about half volleys.
Yeah.
Is it for you? Is it if it has just come off the ground and then they hit it, or is it any time from when it bounces?
I always think of a half volley as it just come off the ground and then you hit it.
So that's it can't be coming up from a bounce and then you hit it.
No, that doesn't feel like a half volley to me. What did you think?
I kind of thought it still could be, as long as it had bounced and it was still coming down.
Let's ask the production crew if they're awake.
Just off the bounce.
Just
off the bounce, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm...
Harvey, social media guru. Half volleys, right? Is it when it's just bounced, or is it any time after it's bounced?
Any time after it's bounced.
Oh, Harvey says any time after it's
50-50.
bounced. So producer Harry says just off the bounce like myself. Harvey, who's wrong, says it's any time after it's bounced. What did you say?
I said any time after it's bounced.
Well, you and Harvey are both wrong.
I was calling Lacey's finish a half volley, I'd say. Well, anyway, really, really...
Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know whether you agree with myself and Harry, or whether you think Harvey and Finn are right.
But yeah, really, really top.
Either way, a great goal, by the way.
Yeah, really good
like
goal.
Taking it away from Shea Lacey.
Yeah, and it's so clear through that finish and through the way he played that he's just playing with a lot of confidence, a lot of concentration, with a kind of clear target of really making a push into that first team. A lot of reports have come out in the media in the last few weeks, and we've spoken about it so much already, that Amorim's already having, one-to-one conversations with him. There's a real kind of plan there to make sure there's a pathway, and obviously with AFCON looming, which we've mentioned a lot, it seems like the perfect opportunity, and potentially even before Mbumo and Ahmad and Mazraoui go off for AFCON. I think he could be involved before that, just so that the coaches and Amorim can get a sense of his level before getting thrown straight in to fill the boots of Mbumo, who's arguably been United's best player, at least the best attacking player this season.
I agree.
There's a lot of pressure to fill in for that, but based on his performances, based on the talent we know he has, and we've been talking about him for so long, I think if anyone can do it, it's him at the moment.
I think that's a great point, because rather than waiting until the likes of Mbumo and Ahmad, and obviously Mazraoui, which isn't as relevant to this conversation, but you get the point, go to AFCON, get him in the team now, or get him in a squad now. Get him some minutes. Get him being around those players, and then sort of the coach is like, everything you said there, I couldn't agree more. This should be the time now. You've got a month and a bit, haven't you, before AFCON starts. So now you should be looking at, if you are thinking of him as potentially coming into this side during AFCON, now is the time to start making that happen. Hopefully we'll see more of him sooner rather than later, because... Sorry, go on.
No, I hope it opens the door as well. If and when it does happen, I hope it opens the door for some more debuts as well, because it's been a little while. I think there's been a bit of a disconnect, which again we've mentioned, where there's been a bit less academy involvement as of late. So hopefully, if Lacey gets his minutes and gets a debut, then a few others can get involved, because a lot of these players are of the level where I believe that they're good enough to at least hold their own and make a bit of an impact. So.
Yeah, make sure you are following Finn on your socials, Academy Scoop. I know I said it at the beginning of the show, but do check him out, because he'll always give you an update on players' progress, where they're up to. And I love the fact you're very you're pro academies. You'd expect, you do back these youngsters.
I think at United you have to.
And I like that. And I always agree with what you say as well, because we should do. And it's talk about the United DNA and all the rest of it. There isn't a particular style that I'd associate with every United team I've ever seen. There isn't anything other than the sort of connection with the academy. That goes back to Busby, it goes back to Fergie, it goes back to players more recently that we've really enjoyed watching and have had some success at Manchester United. I think a lot of them, it's the academy and that connection we have with the academy, and the fact we've had a player from the academy team who's come through the academy in the first team for the last 80 years, something like that. I mean, that's something we should be proud of. Sorry, go on. What's next on the agenda? Is there more?
Definitely more from this game. So I'd mentioned Will Murdoch made a couple of really, really good saves to keep United in the game, and he also did a little Cruyff turn in the build-up to United's second goal.
Right, okay.
Another amazing goal. I think there's something in the water at United at the moment, because a lot of solo runs, a lot of really, really impressive finishes happening, and it was the same story for Jacob Devaney. So Godwill Kakonki will claim the assist for this one because he played him through, but Devaney picked up the ball really deep in his half, basically just ran it the whole length of the pitch, composed himself and finished really, really brilliantly. An amazing solo run, very similar to the one that Diego Leon scored against Spurs the week before.
I hope Kakonki said to him after that, you couldn't have missed with that pass.
No, exactly.
Come on, I put on a plate.
It's like that Busquets one for Messi in the El Clasico, where he literally just lays it off about a yard and then Messi runs onto it. It's kind of the same sentiment there. But amazing goal from Devaney, who I think flies under the radar a little bit, just because United have so many talented midfielders, especially defensive midfielders in his position. There's so much competition there, so it's hard to always talk about every one of them. But Devaney always puts a shift in, usually captains United's under-21s this season. Really good character. And I feel like also I'm always mentioning that he's always making some sort of goal line clearance or interception, or a vital moment that keeps United in games. So really, really good performance from him, and just a beautiful goal to top it off.
Love to see that. Well, mate, continue. And it's good that you mentioned him as well, because like I say, the skipper, and so many amazing players in his team that some do slip under the radar a little bit, and that's not because of any lack of talent or lack of ability or lack of the level of performances. I think it's just because there's so many good ones in there. Sometimes it is difficult to talk about all of them, but good to see him getting his flowers and his goal as well, and an unbelievable goal too.
United were able to see out the win. They did have a few opportunities of their own, Notts County, but we were able to hold them at bay. There were great performances kind of across the team. The likes of Armour and Kakonki at the back. They've become a really kind of resolute partnership over the last couple of seasons. So physical and tall, both of them, and also really, really comfortable on the ball. So good to see them playing well. Also, Yul Helafu at right back, who's a newer name to this squad, not very experienced at this level, but still seems like a really mature player for his age. So excited to see more from him. And also Diego Leon, who again goes into that bracket with the likes of Christian Orozco as one of these emerging talent signings. Looking better week on week. I think there was some early criticism where he looked a bit unrefined, a little bit unpolished, but he's certainly grown into a United shirt. Is reading the game better, I'd say. His defensive positioning has been polished. I think he's gaining some momentum now and kind of showing why United have brought him in. So that's good to see. And I'd also mention the likes of Chido Obi, who got the assist for Shea Lacey. Really, really solid performance overall. The one thing I'd like to see from him is just refining that decision making in terms of whether to shoot or whether to pass when he gets the opportunity. It can be difficult for strikers, and at the end of the day, you want your strikers to be attempting to shoot when they get the opportunity.
100%.
But there are some times where he'd maybe be better off playing a teammate in. But these are minor things. And then finally, I'd mention that Amir Ibrahimov made a great impact off the bench. Always puts a real shift in, and he's such a good athlete that really adds to United's game when he's playing. And Sekou Kone also came off the bench for the first time back since fracturing his eye socket against Tamworth in August.
Rough one, that, wasn't it?
Really, really rough injury. They had to call off that game. So really, really glad to see him back involved. And I think there's a feeling that he would have potentially got some first team minutes if it wasn't for that. They decided not to loan him out this season and to keep him on board so that he can get an opportunity. That hasn't come just yet, but hopefully now that he's back fit, we see that happen in the coming weeks and months.
Good stuff. Good to hear the lads doing well. And like you say, it's always good when they're playing against those sort of lower league, but bigger opposition.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
Physicality and stuff. It's always a great sort of training exercise for them in terms of getting them used to the physicality of first team football. What's next?
A little bit of a gloomier weekend, a couple of weekend fixtures to talk about from the week before. We won't dwell on them for too long. Unfortunately, Travis Binion's under-21s did suffer their first defeat in the PL2 at the hands of Blackburn Rovers at home, unfortunately. It was a bit of a nasty one, to be honest. 4-0. Again, we won't dwell on it for too long. I think it was kind of compounded by Albert Mills got sent off in I think it was the 36th minute. Second yellow card. Difficult one to take, and he's usually so reliable at the back, so I don't lay the blame on him at all. But I think United really struggled. They scored early, had a quick-fire double just before half-time, and then finally scored in the 83rd minute to just put it to bed, and there wasn't much United can do. Still sit second in the PL2 behind Ipswich, just a point behind them, so still having a really, really good season domestically. But yeah, a bitter one to take, especially since it was their first loss in this competition of the season.
These things happen.
Yeah.
You get days like that, don't you, or evenings like that. It's not like that's it, this is a bad team overnight or anything like that. It's just something you've got to learn from, and something that should help you grow as well.
Yeah, it's a learning experience at the end of the day.
100%.
And then finally, I would also mention the under-18s played on Saturday the 1st of November. This was just a really bizarre one. United kind of on theme from what we've seen from MUTV recently. There was no lineup news, no match updates, no real acknowledgement that the game was happening at all, and obviously no MUTV broadcast of it. The only thing we got in terms of details for the game was a really bizarre, clearly AI-generated match report, or at least it sounded AI-generated.
I know that you and some of the lads have been discussing this, and it's 50-50, I think, whether this was AI-generated, but I think the fact that you feel it is speaks volumes.
If it wasn't AI-generated, I'm sorry to whoever wrote it, but it was just really bizarrely lacking any kind of specificity.
Yeah.
Very, very vague sentences that could have been applied to any football game that anyone's ever watched. It was a 0-0 draw, and I think one of the opening lines was something like, "This felt like a game where the first goal could have made all the difference. 2 or 3 goals could have followed afterwards."
Yeah, very, very much. Weird way of putting things.
Just a bit odd. So that, on top of the fact that there was no real coverage of the game, I think it's really disappointing. But at the end of the day, I'm not very surprised, because this is what we've come to expect from MUTV recently.
Sad to see. Sad to see, man.
Yeah, I think it's at the point where they either need to decide, right, we're not covering these games, we're not going to do any under-18 coverage, and they go and publicly announce that, so people can at least understand that that's a decision they've made. Whether, if they want to say, we want to protect these players and not talk about them, then I think, if that's their position, then that's fair enough. But if you're not going to come out with an official statement like that, then put a bit of effort in and provide some good coverage for the games, because the resources are there for the club. We can afford it. Every other team in the Premier League seems to do pretty well at covering these academy games.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough, mate. Honestly, it annoys me, because we just spoke about United DNA and the importance of the academy, and we've got resources, like you say. We're not skint. I know obviously we're in debt because of the Glazers and all the rest of it, but we've got money for other things. We should be putting a little bit more money into this and just sort of embracing and highlighting the good things about the academy.
I'm sure with how much MUTV costs subscribers, that easily pays for itself. I don't know the specific costs involved, but
it does seem a bit daft.
Hate to end on a negative there, but yeah, got to talk about it.
No, it's something that we've spoken about before, and hopefully sooner rather than later we can start getting a little bit more, not even access, just better coverage of the academy teams. Regardless of that, you're always going to be here. You're always going to be giving us your insight. It's always a pleasure chatting to you. Plus, you'll be on the channel a lot more. Don't forget as well, check out the merchandise. There's a link in the description for that. Go and check out Finn on all your socials, Academy Scoop. That's been Finn. I've been Jay. This has been Academy Review. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.